On this episode today, I am excited to welcome Isabella and Emily. These two girls go to Padua Academy, and I recently interviewed their teacher on a recent podcast, Mr. Ryan Shelton, for those of you who might be following our episodes. But certainly go back and listen to that one, because that one prompted me to call these two who said, yeah, sure, we'll join your podcast. So Isabella and Emily, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. So first of all, tell us a little bit about you. What grade are you in? What are your interests? Are you into sports? What kind of hobbies do you do? Things you do in your downtime? Just give us like 1 or 2, 3 sentences. We just love to learn a little bit about you.
I'll go first. I'm Bella. I'm a senior at Padua. I work a lot outside of school. I volunteer at Ronald McDonald House a lot. So I did like a virtual program this summer and past fall. And then I've been doing meditation for a while now, but Mr. Shelton definitely sparked more of an interest for me. So yeah, that's kind of how I got more into meditation.
That's so cool. And I love that you volunteer at the Ronald McDonald House. Thank you for giving back in that way. Emily, what about you?
So I'm Emily. I'm a senior at Padua as well. I'm in 12th grade. I play field hockey. Our season actually just ended. We sadly lost in the first round of the finals against Polytech. I like being active. I run a lot, so I'm into that sort of thing. It's almost like another form of meditation, so I like it in that way. And same as Bella, I've kind of always been slightly into meditation, but then when we kind of like met Mr. Shelton and contacted him about like being leaders of the club, like that's when I really started using it more in like my day-to-day life. So.
Wow. So take us back to the first day you walked into Mr. Shelton's class and he sort of like talked about, hey, we're just going to sit for like 3 minutes quietly. And I think he says he sometimes turns the light out if it's comfortable. Go back to those first few minutes for us and tell us what was going through your mind. What questions did you have? What kind of thoughts did you have?
I was really excited at first because I've never had a teacher do that like in a class, because it was just a nice way to like the first day of school or like the first time in his class, it was a nice way to like rewind and just backtrack like my whole day. And that's kind of how I felt throughout the year when we had those moments. Like it was just a way to like relax and just get my mind straight, because I was just going from one class to another, and then your mind's racing, like where am I, like what do I have to do? So it definitely was a good way to like relax at the beginning.
Yeah, kind of like going off of that, it's like just kind of the craziness of life. It gets your like the amount of thoughts that go through my head like during the day is just crazy. So like to even sit down for those 3 minutes and just like close my eyes and kind of like reprioritize and like rethink everything, it just helped me a ton, like even in 3 minutes, which is crazy.
So because when he first introduced it to you, he uses the word meditation, right? And some people use the word mindfulness, or they just sit and did you have any skepticism of it, or what is your religious background? Because I know a lot of people hear meditation are like, oh my gosh, you're going to be like a Buddha and you're going to sit cross-legged and you're going to hum, like that's crazy with a candle on. Like, no. You know, some people just have, that's their first thought of it. So what may I ask what your religious background is, or is your family something they were open to? So it was more open and easy for you to sort of walk into that, or tell us a little bit more about that.
So I was raised Catholic, but I don't really connect meditation with religion. Like I kind of just see it as like a way to like self-care almost, like kind of taking a break for your mind, not really like relating it to religion like how some people do. So that's kind of how I view it. I don't really connect it with religion. So it wasn't really a big like, oh my God, I don't know if I should do this or not, or if my parents are gonna like let me do it. It was kind of like, oh, I can do this to help myself and like more like be more relaxed throughout the day and help like my anxiety and all this other stuff. So that was helpful.
Yeah, similar to Bella, I was raised Catholic, but my parents aren't strict in what I believe or like what I how I want to kind of like live, I guess. So meditation, yeah, I don't connect it to religion. I mean, if I were to ever like, I guess like praying, I just don't think it like for people to say, you know, like, oh, I would never do meditation because I'm a Catholic. Like, I don't think that makes a lot of sense to me, because I feel like anyone can really do it. It's more like getting in touch with yourself, and you can make it about religion if you want to like incorporate praying or anything like that. Like it's really, I feel like, your own personal thing. So you can personalize it however you want.
And what was the experience of the 3 minutes like? Can you set the stage for our listeners? Like if they were a fly on the wall, what would that have looked like in your classroom?
So like I said before, like when you're going back and forth between classes, like when you have 7 classes in a day, I think that's what we had before, or like 6, like your mind just goes like all over the place. Like, oh, I have math homework due tomorrow. I have to do this lit stuff tomorrow. Like today, I have to do this. I have to go to work after school. Like your mind's just racing all the time. So when I first sat down, it was just a moment of like peace. I felt kind of, and just closing your eyes, being able to relax, and just, I don't want to say like you're not thinking, but you're trying not to think of the thoughts that are constantly racing through your mind. So it was a nice break from those thoughts, and just like being able to like focus on my breathing definitely like made me more calm inside. So that was really nice.
Yeah, for me, it was like, to describe it, the perfect way to describe it is like it was literally a deep breath, like taking in a deep breath and just kind of like feeling calm and okay with like what's going on, and just being able to be like, kind of tell yourself like everything's fine, like in the grand scheme of things it's okay, you can prioritize all these things, and then just kind of like, it was just like a way to just feel like tranquility and just, yeah, peace, like Bella said.
And now that you've been practicing it for a while now, what has changed, or what's different now that is a marked difference or change that you want to share with the listeners?
I don't want to lie and say that I don't have sometimes trouble like calming myself down, because it's going to be different every time you meditate. But it definitely is easier for me to like find these cues in myself almost, and just like, no, like don't think about that, like just focus on your breathing. Like it's easier for me to get back on my breath and just like focus on that now after doing it for a while. And I remember like the first couple sessions in class, like I kind of would just like think and like organize in my mind like how I would do stuff, and I was like, no, that's not what I'm supposed to be doing. Like I need to breathe and just focus on like myself, and just like not really think about those thoughts right now. And so I kind of steered away from thinking about like my day and everything, and just kind of just breathing and understanding like, okay, I'm calm, like this is okay, everything's okay, like Emily was saying, and just a moment to take it for myself, like a deep breath. So
Yeah, for me, I've definitely gotten like seen so much improvement in how much I can like focus myself and like center myself, because obviously the first time I even tried meditation, or even like thought about the concept of meditation, I was like, I could never do that. Like I just wouldn't be able to do that. And the way that Mr. Shelton like described it to me, because he told us about how he went on like I think a meditation trip. Yeah, like a, how long was it?
meditation, I think.
Yeah, 3-day meditation with like no talking, and he like described it. I was just like so intrigued. I was like, I would love to like feel that. Like, I don't know. So in the past, like it's been hard, of course, and especially like right now during like these times and just constant like anxious thoughts going through my head. But like I like guided meditations, and they really help me, because with someone kind of like telling you to like recenter yourself and focus your breath, like I've gotten so much better at it, and it's really helpful.
Yeah, I think Mr. Shelton shared that I asked him, how was the longest time you did a silent meditation? And he told me 20 days. I was like, how in the world did you do that? I mean, I've heard of people doing like 9 days, 10 days. Still, I think that's like, A, who would have 10 days anywhere to just go silently meditate, right? But
Nice.
totally fascinating to me. So, what if people listening to this kind of try it, or are scared to try it, or tell others that they're doing it because of what other people might say? I mean, not everybody is open and accepting of this. What would you say to encourage someone listening like that?
It's all about like where you start, kind of. Like you don't have to like tell the whole world that you're meditating. Like you can kind of only do it like, there's apps on my phone that I use sometimes, so you can definitely download one app that I use, like the Calm app, and there's like guided meditations in there. So I would honestly start with there, or even on YouTube if you want to try it like on yourself. And if you don't feel like it's for you, then you don't have to continue with it. But if you do feel like it's making you feel better inside, then I don't really like to listen to what other people say if it makes me feel better, unless I'm hurting someone. But like, then I would definitely continue with it. And the whole world doesn't have to know that you're meditating if people don't accept it. But definitely, if it makes you feel good after the first try, I definitely would recommend continuing with it.
Yeah, I think it's funny because, I mean, a lot of people kind of have this like off feeling or like connotation when they think of meditation, because they're just like, oh, that's like for hippies, like who would do that, like that kind of thing. Because I was the same way. I mean, when I was younger, I joined meditation club freshman year, and I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna sleep this whole time. But like in reality, like I honestly think everyone should try it, especially with the way like people, like how stressful people's lives are these days, and just like going from one thing to another. Like I honestly think it's beneficial for everyone to try. And like Bella said, if they don't like it, they don't like it. But like I've had friends who are like, what? I would never meditate. And then I like meditate with them and they're like, wait, I felt kind of good after that. And it's just like crazy. Like even after one time, you can feel even the slightest bit better. So
That was so cool. And then, so Mr. Shelton started this after school club. So tell us a little bit about that.
So we kind of after he kind of like brought that into Padua or whatever, like we kind of took the initiative to become leaders of that club, just because we were so intrigued with like the in class, and the when it wasn't going to be in class, it was going to be 10 minutes, and it was going to be after school. So we started doing that, and honestly, the first 10-minute session when we did it all together, I felt so good afterwards. It was in the chapel, and not even relating to religion. It was just such a nice like peaceful place to be, with like low lights, like very calm, not like very quiet, with him like still guiding us. And then I know I didn't fall asleep in the middle, but I just was in like such a like peace, like I was in such a good place. So I definitely really liked that.
And how often was that in the week?
I think it was, I'm trying to remember, it was a long time ago, like pre-COVID, but it was like every other week I think we did it. And then
was it
every other week or once a month?
every week? I feel like it was like every Thursday. I don't know, but
it was.
And you said there was like 20 kids that would show up.
Yeah, so we had like 20 kids sign up, I believe, and we would put posters like around the school, like to get the word out, and we sent emails to the kids who signed up for it. Obviously, some people have after school activities, so they couldn't make it all the time, but I would say we usually would get like 10 people at least, like including staff members too.
Wow.
So it was just really nice to see everyone come.
And Emily, so this piqued your interest so much that you turned this into your junior research project. Can you tell us about that?
So I thought, like, I was just so interested in it, like I said, and I did my whole paper kind of like researching if meditation is actually beneficial, like statistically does it show that it's benefited people, like, and I did all that research. I looked at studies and found like actual facts that it benefits health, and like not just mental health, but it can also benefit physical health. And it was really interesting. So,
and you mentioned that you almost have a drive or an inspiration to find a way to share it so all kids in all schools have access to this.
yeah, my paper was an argumentative research paper, so it was kind of like saying that I think it should be included somehow into schools, especially for younger kids, to start them off like at an earlier age and kind of get them on this path to like handle their stress in like mindful ways. And I just felt like it would just be beneficial for like an entire school community to kind of fit it into their day somehow.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more, because at North Star Elementary, our school counselor heard from down the street Cook Elementary that they had a mindfulness coach coming in once a week for 15 minutes, once a week, 8 weeks, and leading the kids in a mindfulness lesson. And just thought it was the most amazing thing, because like you said, that self-care, how can we help kids come to that place of calm and that rest in the midst of this like, crazy, crazy world. So the following year, we did just a pilot in our first grade, and the student feedback and the staff feedback was so overwhelming that they came to the whole building leadership team and they're like, we have to get this for the whole school. So last school year, we brought it to all the kids, and they asked the kids before and after in second and fifth grade of these 8 weeks. And the percent of kids who said it helped them sleep better, it helped them feel more calm. The high percent of kids who thought this should be taught to other kids was so inspiring that a couple of the teachers and I, we took some of the fundamental courses of it through Mindful Schools. And Emily, I, like you, if we can find a way to get this in every school, I think it should be a global initiative. And who knows what could happen. But reading your blog on Mr. Shelton's website, and I'll put that in the link in the description of this podcast so others can follow and read it, was so inspiring, and I couldn't agree with you more.
Thank you. Yes, I just think it would be so like crazy just to see how different like our communities and our world even would be if like that was incorporated into education. Like it helped me so much as an older student. I'm just like, if I had this when I was a younger student, I would be a changed person.
Yeah.
It paved the way, like especially like in middle school, like you're going through a lot of stuff, like
so many emotions.
Like, a lot of stuff, like there's a lot of drama, so a lot of emotions. Like people are going through puberty, so there's a lot of emotions, and just a lot of anxiety. I feel like is built up through middle school and then throughout high school. So definitely having like meditation and like mindfulness tips would be so helpful. I feel like for younger kids.
Yeah, especially. And one of you wrote in, I can't remember which of your articles it was, that I just totally lost my train of thought. It was something you were saying, Isabella, about, we're our worst critic. And to stop that voice for just a period of time, or like some people will say, I can't meditate. I sit down and I got all these thoughts. And then some people say, let them come, let them go. If it's there, don't judge it. Just let it pass by. And I thought that was really powerful when you said that. So if someone was listening to this and they were like a little bit intrigued, what is something you would say as a first step for them to just try something with?
I would definitely say like get yourself into like a calm space, and it's kind of hard to do meditation when you're in like a hectic place, like to settle down and really focus on yourself, or even just to start with like research. Like you can look at like videos on YouTube, and like there's definitely videos like about how meditation has changed someone's life. Or I know Mr. Shelton also, he was showing us like a PowerPoint in school of like mindfulness tips, or like how we can implement mindfulness into our lives. So even like looking up stuff similar to that would definitely helpful. But yeah, I definitely recommend meditation. So like getting into a calm space, and like I said earlier, like downloading those apps like Calm, or like on YouTube searching up meditation, or like meditation tips, like closing your eyes, being in a calm space, like low, like a low volume space would be really helpful, I think.
Yeah, I would say definitely find a quiet space, or like your safe space. And on top of that, I would say don't expect too much from yourself at first. Like don't expect that after your first time you're going to be like, wow, this changed my life. Like I would say start off with kind of shorter times, maybe like Mr. Shelton's 3 minutes, because you don't want to get, frustrated with your thoughts or anything like that. And it kind of is a gradual, for me, it was like a gradual growth to go from the 3 minute to a 5 minute to a 10 minute. And now depending on how I'm feeling, I kind of do whatever length I think I need at that time. But yeah, I think it's definitely like involves growth and focus. So
yeah, I love that you said that. Like don't have that high expectation that the first time it wasn't something that really, really changed you. Mm-hmm. Like it's okay, and don't give up on that. And hey, I just invite you to try it again.
Yeah.
And start small, right? Start with, in class, we start the kids with 30 seconds. We bring a chime, and we just say, sit with your backs up tall like a tree, and your hands resting gently in your lap. And we just say, we invite them to close their eyes or look down at the floor, because some kids don't feel comfortable closing their eyes in a group. So you just make that as open and easy for them that they would do. And it's interesting, from week to week, you slowly increase that time. And some of the classes we're getting up to 2.5 minutes for like 6 and 7-year-olds. Like, that was huge.
Yeah.
So if a child or middle schooler or high schooler came home and said to their parent, like, hey, I practiced mindfulness in school today, or I did this meditation. If a parent's listening to this and maybe they aren't, it's just a little bit of a hurdle to think that their kid might be doing that for whatever reason, for whatever, background they come to the table with, what would be a word that you would say to them of how they should address it, or what they should say or do?
Maybe like starting with their kid, like saying how they kind of view it and how it made them feel. Because if it's making, in my opinion, if it's making your kid feel well, like inside, and makes them like feel a difference, then I definitely think it's something they should continue. But you obviously could pick what meditation they choose. Like if you don't want some words in it, I guess you could say, like on YouTube, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I love that.
I think, what I was gonna say is just kind of be accepting of what they're doing, and kind of like don't automatically, because I feel like, again, like people have the connotation towards meditation and mindfulness, like whether it's with religion or anything they've heard about it. I think like it's just different for everyone. So if your kid is coming to you saying, "Oh, I practice mindfulness. It really helped me. It made me feel a lot better," then kind of just like be non-judgmental towards them and just accept the fact that it's something that they feel good doing. So, and it's not harming them. So I feel like it's something that you should just be along with, like follow along with them on their journey or whatever they want to do.
Yeah, I think that's so super helpful. Thanks for sharing those words. Well, in closing, I want to share 2 quotes that I pulled from your articles that really just struck a chord in my heart, and I think it will be inspirational to our listeners. So I'll start with Isabella's, who, and I quote, said, "I believe that people in our society struggle with creating these positive thoughts and finding peace with themselves and one another. If more people meditated, I believe our society would be more open-minded and people would be able to live more freely." And I just thought that was so liberating that I just wanted to, like, I don't know, shout it across, like, I'm going to make like a Facebook post out of it. Like that was so beautiful. That was so beautiful, Isabella. So not that you have to add anything on top of that, but if you want to say anything, you're certainly welcome.
Yeah, I just definitely feel like if more people practice meditation, I think a lot of people have like built up anger, and sometimes they take it out on other people or like put it out in a bad way. So I think with like meditation and mindfulness, like you wouldn't have that built up anger, or you wouldn't have as much, and you know how like to reciprocate your feelings to others better, and just kind of take a step back and look, okay, I'm fine, like everything's going to be okay. And I think that also goes with like a lot of like mental health issues. Like I think a lot of people, especially in our age, like have anxiety and all these worries about like college
Yeah.
and stuff. So I think definitely having like meditation and mindfulness in like in their life would definitely help with those things. And even if you, like Emily said, like start little and just like go from there, I think it definitely would help with the stress that comes along with being in high school and like all the emotions that come with it. So
Absolutely. It's like a proactive approach to therapy that you might not have to pay for, or maybe a medicine you may or may not need to be on. But imagine a society that slowly, if we helped more and more individuals, kids, teens practice this, you're right. Imagine that actually could be a beautiful society of citizens contributing in such a beautiful way.
yeah, and again on like the teens, like with mental health, I think a lot of us like built up inside because they don't really feel like they're comfortable with talking to other people. So meditation would definitely be like an own version of like therapy, I want to say, because you're by yourself. You don't like have to share your feelings, but it like allows you to think by yourself and just think through things, and like allows you to really find peace within yourself if you're feeling those feelings.
Yeah, I wish I had that when I was a teenager. And then Emily, here's yours. So you said meditation would be beneficial for students if implemented into classrooms nationwide. And I love your quote. I know we had already mentioned that, but you said, as a society, we definitely struggle with finding love within ourselves and within others. And I believe if more people meditated, society would become more peaceful and relationships would be stronger. That's so beautiful.
Yeah, just
I
kind of
love that.
adding on to, I mean, it relates with Bella's quote. It's just going back to like thinking about how different our society would be if everyone kind of was able to have this, like just have that mindfulness in their life and be able to just take a deep breath. And I just feel like people would be so much nicer to each other, because I feel like when I started meditating, I could, before I would lash out on someone or react to something a certain way because of my emotions, I was able to kind of take a step back and be like, wait, this is because I'm feeling this way and I shouldn't like
Take it out.
react to this. Yeah, I shouldn't react to this problem in this way. I should do it in this way. It just, I feel like made me so much more of like a mindful person, just thinking about my actions, thinking about how my actions would affect other people if I did them, that sort of thing. So yeah, I definitely
Yeah.
think relationships would be a lot stronger if everyone kind of experienced that.
Yeah, one of the biggest changes for me in taking, and I just say it's 3 deep breaths. It's when someone said something that upset me, or maybe I have to make a difficult phone call or approach a situation that might be challenging on either side. And when I just stop and take those 3 deep breaths, I'm telling you, it changes everything. Well, the science behind your brain says that your brain will be literally in a different state of mind after you give it oxygen and your heart stops racing, right? And your heart stops pounding, and we all feel the heat rising up into our neck. And all of those are just signaling alarms, which I call it the freaked out stage, that no one can think clearly in that place anyway. And it is a marked difference of how I say what I say and the thoughts that change in my head that were really negative and spiraling downward and are, maybe not all super positive, but definitely heading in that direction, which is anything better than, what I was feeling before. Huge, huge change for me personally in my practice with mindfulness, meditation, and what we teach our kids at school.
Yeah, kind of to add on to that, I just really remember like junior year, Mr. Shelton highlighting like being kind and compassionate to others. So I really feel like meditation also helped me like to be that person, because you don't really know what's going on with everyone, like what they're going through, and that's kind of how I feel with meditation.
So
Like
true.
I'm able to calm myself down. I have all these worries, and I'm just like, well, everyone else is probably doing the same thing. They have all these worries going through their head. So you really don't know how other people, like what they're going through. So even when I like react to something else, like I'm always trying to think like maybe they did this because of something that they're going through. So I don't want to be too harsh, or just like be more kind and like understanding to them, like about any situation, honestly. So that's
Yeah.
definitely something that Mr. Shelton, I feel like, implemented more in my life and like made it like something to really hold on to be a kind, compassionate human being. So
That's beautiful. Well, that's a lovely and wonderful place to end. Is there any last thoughts that you want to share with our audience before we go?
just really glad I got this opportunity.
I
Thank you.
just want to say thank you so much for contacting us. And because with everything going on, meditation has been one, important right now for me, but also two, I haven't been able to get it in school, or like it's been hard to do after school meditations, in school meditations, just obviously with circumstance. So like to have this opportunity was just really cool, and I just want to say thank you.